Okay. Does that mean this is going to get broadcast somewhere?
Yeah, I can put it on YouTube so that way you can, rewatch it if you need to. But the more we play teaching games, the more you're just gonna come to learn the concept of not bunkering down, right? Not focusing on defending and making territory, but more focusing on fighting and making me weak. Because you have all the power, so your goal is to make me weak and scrawny and small. Um, but when you allow me to breathe all the time, then I'm able to get away with a lot, right? So in both cases, you backed away, which is a normal move when we don't have these stones, but it's obviously very bad when we have all this strength. Um, so pretty much all four corners, you did the same thing, right? Except this
Right.
extra move. Fine. So right now you've done a good thing, right? You've separated these two groups. This move was the kind of the wonky one. Usually we'll see something like this. Um,
Okay.
because if white tries to go any further, you can stop white. Right now, white has an issue, and so black
Right.
does a good job here of stopping white. So this move does have knight's moves can be cut, right? The knight's move can be cut, and so this is what happens later. Um, Funny enough, though, you could have just played this or this because you have the ladder.
Hmm.
So I was very surprised you didn't play this move, which comes into what we're talking about. So let me just mark it so I have it. But it comes into the same premise, which we're always constantly going to harp on, is putting pressure on white and keeping white separated, right? We can see that when black lives with these stones, that white is now separated, right? And white is small. So this constantly is going to be coming into play here, but allowing me to now, if you were to try it, right, white would get somewhat of a better result, but you could still separate. But now that white got this extra stone, it becomes harder and more uncomfortable to do this. And now really uncomfortable, right? Because if you were to do this now, white just kills. So white got a really good exchange of taking a corner from you and then getting out. Like white has some breathing room to run out. Now on the other side though, you did get a huge amount of influence. So you getting this wall allows you to fight more. So giving a little to get something is usually good as well. But in this case, if we go all the way back to the start, you could have just stopped white here.
Right.
And you could have also stopped white here.
So what did I do instead of F17?
You just extended forward.
Okay.
So instead of separating me, you allowed me to stay connected, right? Which is not good. Um, this move is always kind of hard for me to figure out how to respond to. Your response was a little too easy on me. I think right now you could pressure me. So it depends on how white will respond here. But if white responds like this, you can kind of play something here, and this will allow you to disconnect, separate A and B. So this technique you might have never seen before, right, Jason? Where you attach and then kind of sacrifice it.
I've seen it just a very little bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the idea is that if you want to separate these two, then you'll have to find a way to do so, right? You gotta make noise on this side, so then you can attack on this side. And now, if white was to mess up, right, you'd just kill white. So white has to protect, and then this allows you to make a wall here. Um,
So I thought I didn't have a direct, plan all the way out, but I thought that C12 was a invasion point, like a cut point.
Yeah, I mean, if white, like, let's say you played somewhere else and then white got this, this would make white comfortable, right? Like a little more comfortable. So
Right.
I see where you're coming from with this. But it still allows white to kind of force you to. I figured you would have played here, but forces you to play here and then now white's connected, right? Atari and then connect. What you
Right.
came up with this was actually kind of better than I thought because now I'm not connected because there's no Ataris. But like there's an Atari here, but it doesn't work like for white, right? Black's still very strong. So what you came up with was um, decent for the situation. But the problem with this move though is it leaves a cut for later, right? This cut got pretty nasty later on. And so the normal move would be something like this. So I don't know. I don't think it was much of a problem that you played this way, but it's just something to talk about. So let's see. Oh, so this is the abnormal move. You see this under attachment Joseki all the time, right?
Right.
And so normally what we do here in this situation is we Atari because now white's forced to fix, and then you are forced to fix, and then white's forced to fix, and then you can choose what to do from now on. You can save the corner, you can make this influence bigger, or you can Tanuki and play somewhere else. But the most common move is this Atari here. So I would try this out more than this one.
Yeah, and I saw that in your review of the other game just a few minutes ago, and it does look much better.
Yeah, so when somebody attaches under you and you Hane and they double Hane, the beginner trap is to play this, which is really bad because what it does is it makes white really strong, and there's lots of weaknesses for black here, 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 everywhere. So the normal move is just to Atari here, right? We Atari, fix, and then we have options. We got 1, 2, and Tanuki's option 3. So this is a very, very good thing to learn because you're gonna see it all the time.
Yeah.
Um, this was excellent. This was actually one of your best moves of the game, I thought, because it immediately is trying to split these two up, and it puts so much pressure on me. It makes me feel really bad. I was very, I want to say devastated when you played this. If you, I think that, yeah, I think it's just good. I don't have any problem with it. I think you needed to play this though now. So if white plays this, now you can Atari, and you can just kill these stones, right?
Hmm.
And so, yeah, just playing this would have been the cutting move, which plays into our theme of handicap games, right? Putting pressure and then separating our opponent. And
Right.
so this Hane would have been excellent, but you played backwards, which was really really bad, and then it just allowed white to separate.
Right.
A running theme that we talk about. I know you're not in every review I'm in, but I'm sure you hear all the time. Like we always want to be playing forward and not backwards, right? We always want to be
Yeah.
ahead of our opponents. So usually when we play these backwards moves, it should feel bad. It should feel painful. But yeah, although even though white got fully connected, to be fair, white's still on the first line, right? And so you're
That's
not,
how I felt. Yeah.
yeah, so you're not in a terrible position, but it obviously would have been much better if you just straight up killed these, right?
Right.
Yeah, so yeah.
And then I wanted to ask, I left those three, they're hit on one head and not quite yet the other. And then you start filling in some of the liberties, and I've got that D6 stone that's looking precarious. And I just wonder at what point would you have fixed this? Because I do eventually lose those stones.
Yeah, I would play here. Because right now, this solid connection, there's no weakness now, right? The diagonal is impregnable. If white plays here, there, white plays here, there. So I would have played this because now you're solidly like working on getting a lot of points. Um,
I see.
but by leaving this weakness here, later on, as you saw, I play in it, right? You try and stop me, and then I cut you apart. And now you have a weakness here, 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 here. And this is devastating, right? So, so yeah, at this point, this needed to be filled in, because if not, then these two weaknesses are pretty damaging. This was very strange to play this way, I think. Normally, you would take the corner. I assume you played this way because you thought this had more value. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think this would have put more pressure on these stones, right? And then once again, it would kind of fill out into this. But
Right.
even if we look at this, right, you can see that you still got what you wanted. What you wanted was this, right?
Right.
And then what you did here was you pushed down white to the first line. So this is very useful, right, for what you wanted. But this move just allows white to take the full corner with like almost no problems. So this was,
Is there any time that Q6 should be played, or should I just remember that that's a horrible move always?
I think, almost all. I don't know. I don't think it's a good move.
Hmm.
So if it was like
You
this,
should.
this
Yeah.
this would make a lot of sense. But once white played here, now it looks like a horrible move.
Right.
Because white
Okay.
gets the first move, right? And so now you have all these weaknesses, and like white's super strong, right? So it's like
Right.
white's strong, black's weak. This is bad, right? So that's why it doesn't look good here. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, this was a big mistake. So instead, you should have played here. No mistakes here. Everything you did was very well correct. You fully sealed in white. It's just white got a lot. So this one, you played on this side, which is you're trying to focus once again on your defense, right? You're trying to focus on getting the most amount of points. But what's the goal of handicap games?
Right.
Right? We want to use our strength to fight, right? That's the goal of handicap games. So for this group, I would have
I
probably,
would protect the corner maybe from
yeah.
this.
Yeah, I was gonna, this was my first instinct, right? Because it takes
Yeah.
away white space. But first,
Right.
what I think I would do is ask if white wants to stay together. If white says, no, you can cut me, then this is good for you because this area is really big, right?
I see.
And if white says, yeah, I want to stay connected and I don't want to die, now you can combine it with this. So now white doesn't have a base and is chained together. This is what's called chaining prisoners together, which is using peeps. This makes sense?
No, I've never heard of that before, and it seems like you've just strengthened white by connecting them.
We strengthen them, but do they have a base?
No.
If they have a base, can they make two eyes?
Hmm.
Well, if they don't have a base.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's very hard.
So normally, what white's gonna want to do is make shapes like these. This is called the dog face. Are you familiar with this shape?
A little bit.
So this is making eye space. You can see it's making eye potential, and that's white's goal is to make eyes. But when you poke at the shape, he can't make the dog shape anymore, right? This would be terrible for white. So
Hmm.
once he's flat like this, he's making no eye shape. My teacher, I joined the Japanese professional school, the International Asakugo School. In his first lecture he ever gave, he was talking about something that always stuck in my head because he has a very strong accent too. I'm not making him fun of him. I'm just giving you the accurate depiction of how he says it. But he says, if you want to live, right, or make good shape, you want to make diagonal shapes, right? He says it just like that. He's like diagonal, because he has that thick accent, and it always stays in my head. So then he would say like stretto, right? Stretto is terrible. It's bad for eye shape. So if we
Mm,
keep white straight, then they're not making eye shape. So if you want to make Sensei Maeda proud, you keep your opponent stretto. And you don't want to give him options to make diagonal shapes, right? This is good eye shape potential for white. So that's it. So I would have played this and then come down. You came to your own realization that you would just should play here because now white can't really make a base comfortably. I mean, it has some options, but it's still gonna be a problem for white. And for black, you can help seal it in. Yeah, yeah.
right.
This is good. Yeah, this is super good for life and death too. So like if we play here, this gives white the diagonal shape, right? And so now he's making eye potential. So this is very bad to give white the diagonal shape. So instead, if we keep white stretto, right, then he's not making eyes here. We're taking advantage of him not making eye shape. And if he was to play this now, this just looks stupid to me, because there was no reason for him to play this right now. So that's why we avoid our opponents, giving our opponents diagonal shapes. So, alright, I'll move on. But this is a very important concept of what you did was defense, right? Defending your territory. But it gives
Right.
me so much breathing room, right? So we need to keep the pressure on. We need to keep him small and possibly separated, right? In this case, there's the only separation is between A and B here, but the idea of keeping pressure on white by poking at him and taking away his base, we're doing this is how we should attack. And if we're not attacking like this, then we're not doing a good job. So it's good to learn this because now what you did was by playing these two moves, sure you've defended some territory, but you've allowed white to breathe and now live, right? White now is fully alive and got away with murder, right? Got away with taking away 1/4 of the board from you. That is getting away with murder. So,
Right.
so let's. This was
Yeah,
this.
I didn't live. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think you didn't have a good option here. I think there's no good way for black to do well here. Um, so that's why black needed this move. Because I don't know how to respond to this as black. Like I'd be in so much trouble if black strengthens the weaker side, like this side, right? All it's doing is hurting this side now because there's so much aji here, right? When we play something like this and like this, like there's so much aji everywhere that it's really painful. There was a lot of things that could have happened in this area. So I can't really give you good advice on this part. What I can say is we needed to prevent it from happening at all. Were you? I interrupted you. You were gonna say something.
No, no.
Okay. Let's see. I was expecting this, and then I was expecting to get like this amazing result for white. But you played this, which then allows me to connect my group, and so this wins for me, and then this wins for me, right? So I was gonna win no matter what. So like I said, this whole area is I think it's irredeemable. Like it's just too painful. You did point out that you could have played this Atari and then connected, or you would have been connected, right? Because if white plays here, then he dies. So if white plays here, you get to connect.
Yeah, I saw that as soon as I made the move.
Yeah, so this is what we would call using our sacrifice. Like if we know this is gonna die, then we just use it as a sacrifice to push around our opponent to get a good result. Um, but you know, like I said, you already realized it yourself, so I don't really have to talk too much about it. Um, so yeah, it was that. And just this was a very bad move. So essentially, you have three liberties, and now you have two liberties.
Yeah, I looked at the ladder and I thought it worked, and I think it did. It just, it felt wrong because I was hitting myself on the head.
Yeah, you needed to protect this area more, right, by enclosing white. But instead, what you did was you just gave me something to Atari, and then connect. And
Mm,
so now you're not protected here anymore, and you look silly here too. Does that make sense?
right,
So, allowing me to manipulate you is almost always a bad thing, right? So you shouldn't play in a way that allows me to Atari you on the next move. Usually, I mean it's very situational, but that's a pretty standard rule, right? You don't want to be manipulated. Who wants to be manipulated ever, right? And so this is bad, 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 really bad, right? Because you had a double Atari here.
right.
So you could have fixed that with this, and then I would have taken one more thing, and then I don't know what I would have done now. But um, so this was all bad, and it stemmed with this move here. So this is really 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 bad. And that's kind of the what happened in this game, right? You made one bad decision, and then things just started to crumble, right?
Right.
I think this is enough to learn from this game. I'm sure there's plenty of like little end game things here and there, but the main importance is this and this. And I think if you use this fresh new perspective, it should help you greatly. Because when I told this to Marty, I assure you, he started kicking my butt in handicap games, and he's won almost every handicap game he's played in the Ben Keel League since learning how to fight, right? Learning how to use the stones to fight. So don't feel bad that you had the mindset for this game, because every single double digit Q player has this mindset. Oh, I have all these stones. I can just make points and win the game, right? Like I can just defend here and make points. I can defend here and make points. Defend here and make points. Defend here and make points. And that was your mindset through the whole game, was I'm gonna defend and make points. But that is the way to lose in handicap games. So what you need to do is change that and not care about territory at all, and just focus on fighting and keeping your opponents small and vulnerable. As long as this group is vulnerable and not alive yet, you're gonna make points by attacking it, right? By keeping it small, you're gonna continuously uh, make it look stupid, and then you're gonna build points on this side. You're gonna build points on this side, and this is your whole goal for your games from now on. Make sense?
I just like I said, I'm scared from previous games that anything I touch will live.
Well, and that's the other wrong mindset that you need to have. Yes, that's true. When you touch things, right, they get stronger, right? When you kick this white stone, it gets stronger. It just does. But the difference, I mean, what you need to keep in mind is that you don't have to fear it being alive, right? In fact, you want it to live, because the longer it lives, the more you can manipulate the crap out of it, right? The longer this
Hmm.
lives, the more you can bully it around and like say, hey, you don't have two eyes yet. Hey, you don't have two eyes yet, right? Hey, you don't have two eyes yet. And while he's running, like scared, crapless, right? Like trying to live, you're making points everywhere. So you want him to live, technically. That's a whole. I know that sounds crazy, right? But the idea is that the longer he lives, as long as you can manipulate him, you're gonna make more points. Does that make sense?
Well, kind of, unless this was my territory to begin with, in which case,
That's what you can't think of it though. You can't think of this as your territory to begin with. That's your problem. Everything that you've told me today is the wrong
right.
mindset, which is fine, right? Because I'm telling you, this is a very common double digit Q problem. It's the conclusions you make, right? If we're thinking logically, this is my territory, right? Here's all my stones. This should be mine. But it's not, right? And so yeah. I hope you get what I'm saying.
I sort of do, but I think we'll see the other side of it in a game that isn't a handicap tomorrow, and it'll make a little bit more sense then when I put the two in perspective.
Yeah, yeah. There's a big difference, right, from
Because I
starting
understand what you're
fresh.
saying here, but yeah,
Yeah, starting fresh, it's a whole different concept. Yeah, you're right. But like I said, for now, I want you to take everything that you thought and then change it to what I'm saying, and then the even though what I'm saying technically won't work perfectly in a fresh game, the difference is that if you use what I'm saying in handicap games, not only will you win more handicap games, but what you'll develop is how to fight. How to fight. That is the important thing you learn from handicap games. If you learn how
gotcha.
to fight, this will help you in every game that you play ever. And so and that's what these training wheels are for, right? This is to teach you how to fight, right? And so that's what this is.
I see. That makes sense now.
Yeah, so when we play these teaching games, you're gonna learn how to fight and work around. Let me just show you very, very quickly if I can find it. I did 3 games for Marty, and one of them in particular, he did an amazing job, which was this one here. Um, so because of his handicap games and learning how to fight, he did a good job here, right? So first you can see he kicked, which helped him make points here and helping him make points here. And then he starts attacking this, right? He starts building some strength on this side. And then what he does is he constantly corrals. He's constantly harassing this weak group because it doesn't have eyes yet. And so each time he does, he's making a crap ton of territory on this side of the board. And white is uncomfortably running away for his life, potentially making only 4 or 5 points at the time of this thing, right? And so you can see on both
Right.
sides, Marty is making points. And so he's beautifully attacking. I would have told him to play like this, but he's beautifully attacking this group because he's played me so many times. He's learned how to fight, and it's paying off. It's paying off in his games, right? So that's what I hope you come to understand is with all this. It's gonna take
That
some
makes sense.
time. It's gonna take time,
Yeah.
but it's gonna teach you something that's gonna help you for the rest of your life.